It's a Gabe says, give me a PvE mode and I'll get into it. Or better yet, an offline mode. Let's chew on this idea a bit. The idea of a PvE only mode is insanely popular amongst Marathon critics and fans right now. I include fans in that statement because I love Marathon, and if there was a PvE only mode, hell yeah, I'd boot that up. This has obvious concerns though. Part of what makes Marathon addicting, what makes it unique amongst other shooters, is how it dips its toe into PvP. And taking that away risks taking away a feeling that Marathon gives. Something beyond fun, something beyond tension, a mechanic that makes you play every moment smarter, more carefully. Marathon is not just its gunplay, it's not just its PvE, it's that feeling. That is a combination of everything we just mentioned. Additionally, there are concerns about splitting the player base. Right now, Marathon has anywhere between 48 and 62,000 players based on when you grab the Steam data. If half of those players don't want any PvP in their game and go to a PvE only game mode, that divides your game's traffic in two. Wait times get longer. The community experiences the game in two wildly different ways, which makes feedback to the developers murkier. How new shells and weapons and features are balanced becomes much more difficult. Now, to contradict myself here, there is an alternate possibility. Sure, there may be 50,000 players on Marathon right now, but what if adding a PvE only mode attracts 30,000 more people across all platforms? That turns this argument in a very different direction. That's a lot more interaction, a lot more people getting into the game, hell, maybe even trying the PvP game mode and loving it. That's more support to Bungie, it's a broader community, etc. If Marathon was to get a PvE only mode, I certainly don't think it could use it right now. I think Marathon has a lot of ideas the community is still learning and interfacing with. The faction system, the weapon balancing, the loot economy, everything so far has been balanced and designed around the PvEVP experience that will likely be Marathon's identity, no matter what new modes come to the game. And I think if Bungie needs anything at the moment, it is concentrated engagement, focused feedback from a non-divided community. But hey, a few seasons down the road, when we need more players, or Bungie needs more time to make new maps or experiences, I think a PvE only mode with its own loot pool and difficulty ladder isn't the worst break glass in case of emergency handle to pull. Interestingly enough, we have some data here that will give us a hint as to whether or not a PvE mode in Marathon would work. Escape from Tarkov, the game that many would say is the most hardcore extraction shooter on the market, has added a PvE mode. Now, I have not played it myself, but if you have, how is it? Did it ruin the game? Divide the player base? Do you think Marathon could use a similar mode? Let me know down in the comments. Johnny Nemo, in replying to me talking positively about the game, says, that's fine if you want to support a company who regularly screws their customers over. It's not just about gameplay. I got a lot of this on my last video. And you know what? I get it. If I played an insanely popular MMO for 10 plus years just for that game developer to cut content and significantly slow down support just to go make another game made for an entirely different audience, yeah, that's frustrating to say the least. And if you piss in my Cheerios once, I'm not gonna take another bowl. So I totally get where these Destiny players are coming from, but in order to be an unbiased reviewer, content creator, whatever you call it, I cannot judge Marathon Year 1 based on Destiny Year 10 or 11 or whatever it is. One day, I might eat my words. Marathon could out of nowhere do me dirty in a similar way. At the moment, I personally do not expect to give Marathon my attention until the day I die. So I shouldn't put pressure on Marathon 1 month into its lifespan to promise me the same. So I hope you understand why I and many others are giving this game a fair shot. And many, especially myself, are happy to do so. That being said, there is a good point that people make here we need to talk about. Amuse and Amaze says, I'd love to try Marathon and would probably really enjoy it. However, I'm just wary that Bungie mainly designs for the fire team experience so the endgame won't be accessible to casual solo players. I'll get left behind like I was in Destiny. Now this is something we can really talk about. Listen fellas, my last video was centered around my enjoyment of Marathon as a solo player. I could experience everything the game had to offer in what I argue is a better way by playing solo. So I'd be lying if I said I wasn't worried about this too. You see, I wouldn't call myself a Destiny fan per se. I played the game, a lot of it in fact, but I never did get to experience everything it had to offer as a solo player. Because, for those of you who don't know, the arguably best content in Destiny, the most fun gameplay, the most unique encounters, and the best loot are found in raids. And you can't complete a raid until you've found 8 of your closest friends, or whatever. When I bring up a Destiny raid to my friends, they say, "What the hell are you talking about? Just watch the football game." So no, I never did a raid in Destiny, and yeah, it bummed me out knowing there was this god-tier experience that I couldn't participate in. Without having 7 friends who own the game or trying to coordinate with randoms, which that's a whole different discussion, okay? I would be bummed if I do all this prep work and grinding for great loot solo in Marathon and never put that gear to the test in a game's ultimate challenge, its own raid equivalent, whether that be the Cryo Archive or some map in the future, whatever. Now, I am hopeful that Bungie will let me play that content solo, and here's why. Firstly, Marathon costs $40. It's easier in Destiny to fill those 8 player slots when today you can get the game for free. In Marathon, if I want to fill my fire team, per se, I have to convince 2 other people to spend $40 on a game in a very niche extraction shooter market. I'm sure Bungie is aware of this. Now, whether they use that to allow people to tackle this content solo, or use it to pressure more people to buy the game, remains to be seen. Andrew Leeming says, "Great video, thank you very much. Gonna try out solos as well. Also, what's your coffee brew method of choice? Bean recommendation?" Well, thank you very much for asking. If you don't have one, I really love my mocha pot. It's a super cheap and easy way to make something that's basically espresso, and not to mention it makes your kitchen just smell fantastic. Also, any bean with fruitier notes I tend to like. I dig a little acidity in my coffee, if you know what I mean. What are y'all drinking? I'm open to suggestions. We touched briefly on player count earlier, but I saw a lot more comments, and I think it's worth a separate discussion. There's a lot of YouTube videos and Reddit threads out there discussing how people should be worried about the player count. Even for me, it's easy to look at a game's player count and say, man, there aren't many people playing this, so maybe I shouldn't either. Now look at me. If you are on the fence about this game solely because of the player count, let's talk. If we played games based on higher player count, then only 3 games will be played at any given time. And trust me, the last thing that Counter-Strike needs is me playing it. Additionally, where do we draw the line? At what player count would you recommend the game to someone? 90,000, 100,000? 8 million? Would you recommend your friend a game based on player count at all? Should we hold every game to this standard? Can I not play Helldivers 2 or Deep Rock Galactic unless it has 500,000 players? You better tell the dedicated CS source community that's been supporting the game for years to stop playing. Now look, Marathon's obviously a different case in a way. This is a live service game that Bungie intends to support for years and needs players to do so. Absolutely. I understand the people that look at that player count and write it off. And maybe Sony or Bungie has a player count number in mind where they say, you know what, this isn't enough people, pull the plug. But I don't have that number. No one outside of Sony or Bungie has that number. So who am I to judge a game based on a metric that I don't fully understand? Especially in a genre as niche as the extraction shooter. If I expect lower numbers for this genre, then I'm sure Bungie does as well. I don't know what the pull the plug number on Marathon is, but what I do know is that I am having fun playing the game. So I'm gonna keep playing it. And if this game interests you and you think you might really like it or even love it, it'd be a shame if just an arbitrary number prevented you from trying it out. Polar Bear says, for all of what you say, just watching this gave me a headache. What even is this art style? All right, art's subjective. You don't need me to tell you that. This art style is definitely not everyone's taste, but I think I can explain why I personally like it. One thing I think we can all agree on is that it's unique. I can think of multiple cyberpunk-looking games, multiple fantasy-looking games, but nothing that quite looks like Marathon. The singularity of this style really draws me in. It makes me curious. Plus, I think that nostalgia in general is in right now, and the fact that Marathon looks like a Game Boy Advance or Matrix screen extrapolated into its own art style scratches that nostalgia itch for me while feeling entirely new. Carnage Jester and many others say, it resets your progress every 3 months and losing all progress and your loot, so this game is pointless. Hold on, my finger's stuck here. There we go. Yes, Marathon has a wipe. For those of you who don't know, a wipe is traditional in extraction shooters where every few months or so, the game will reset your progress and make way for new content, new maps, whatever, so you can have all that fun all over again. Let me tell you why I am not bothered by the idea of a wipe in Marathon. Not only that, I'm looking forward to it. You see, we have not had a wipe yet as of this video, and I understand why it turns people away. You work so hard for all this loot, all those runs, all those deaths, just for Bungie to take all your hard-earned weapons and loot away every few months. I get it. Hell, I felt the exact same way until the server slam. I gathered so much cool stuff in the server slam, from runner cords to sniper rifles, that I was completely scared of using. I found good loot in a run and left it in my vault just to collect dust. That was until the last day of the server slam, where I said, well, if I'm gonna lose all this loot anyway, I might as well use it. I took my best gear into each run. I picked every fight I could with UESC and other players just to use that cool sniper rifle. It sat in my inventory for so long. And then, yeah, I lost it when the server slam ended. Those runs with the great loot I had been hoarding still are my favorite runs in Marathon yet. Knowing that none of this matters, that it's just a game, I'm supposed to have fun, and that the weapons aren't mine forever anyway, it surgically removes the gear fear in me and forces me to have fun with the game I paid $40 for. On top of that, we now know that with every wipe is even more than just a reset. You keep all your factions unlocked. Each wipe comes with a new season and their new surprises, just like new shells, new maps, new systems, new ways to interact with the game. And let's be honest here, if you went from season to season with your vault maxed out and stacked to the brim with gold loot, would you want to experience any of that new stuff? Would you be excited for it? I know I wouldn't. So time will tell exactly how the community responds to the wipe, but I personally am excited for it now, and it is changing the way I play Marathon now. The final type of comment I wanted to talk about from my last video is just how nice you people are. I got so many supportive comments from so many of you guys, and great conversation, great question, great points being made as well. Thank you for discussing this, giving me feedback, and for being really cool cats while you do so. And to you I ask, what do y'all want to talk about next? Any other comments, concerns around Marathon? How do you feel about a PvE mode? Have you played the one in Tarkov? I'll see you down in the comments below, and for more chats like these over a cup of coffee, be sure to like and subscribe. I'll see you next time.